welcome Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and everybody. We're so glad you're here joining us today at Groundbreaking Vision Live with Harriet. Excuse me, I'm so excited that you're here. Groundbreaking Vision is about breaking through the white noise of culture, telling stories about people that are making a difference in the world, changing our lives in transformational ways. Some people I'll talk to are people you know, and some people are people that you've never met before. Today we're talking about fashion, and I want to introduce you to one of my favorite designers, my favorite designer in the city, Abby Farron. Hi, Abby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm so glad you're here.
So glad to be here today with you.
So we have known each other for years, but we've never really sat down and chatted, even though we have had many interactions in our careers in the fashion world and business world.
So funny how that works.
Yeah.
So glad to do that today.
Yes.
On camera.
And I wanted everybody to hear your story because it's so important. I was watching it again right before you showed up to do the show today. And I was struck by how significant and important the story is right now. So I wanted to start off our story with the unfolding of how you came to design this line and what it means and how it's impacted other women. But let's go all the way back to where the story started that made you who you are, and some of those painful memories which we're now more open and free to share, and it's transforming our lives as a result of that.
Yes.
So tell me.
Well, there's a lot to tell, and what I really like to start out by is I don't focus on, I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I've been very open about that. I always joke that thanks to my Mary Kay campaign, I'm kind of the first Me Too, advocate, because I started saying it when no one was saying it.
Right.
So my campaign came out 3 years ago. So I really, it's one of those things that is important, but it doesn't define me, and it does not define my line. I'm not just focused on women who are survivors of domestic violence. And I will go into details of that, but I really have realized the more that I've spoke freely to audiences of women or women coming through my store, if you live in this planet, you have a story, and you have a painful past somewhere, somehow. It might not be domestic violence, it might not be theft, it might be, there's so many different places where people, we're all in this big soup of humanity together, and some people are more evolved and working towards, being good citizens of this planet, and others are not, and the people who are not are the ones that usually end up, teaching us great lessons. They're the best teachers.
Yes.
So, losing a child, I have so many stories through my Women of Purpose project that I've started doing in the last 2 years.
Yes.
So I don't know, do you want me to start in 2003?
Yeah, start in 2003.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was originally an associate producer with the NewsHour with Jim Lehrer. Had worked my way up there from an intern, and I decided I didn't want to be in Washington anymore. I loved, working for Mr. Lehrer. He was an amazing first boss out of college, but I really thought, okay, I'm going to go to Hollywood and do production in movies and television. So I moved to Hollywood, and I had bright eyes and thought everything was, I was just going to be an overnight success, and I wasn't trying to be a famous celebrity. I was trying to be behind the scenes. And I was working in Les Moonves's office, and I kept getting invited to really cool parties. So, but I'd kind of done this, I'm not going to settle down with just one job. I was temping, and so the money was a little tight, so I pulled out my old sewing machine, and my parents sent me some money to go buy fabric and started just sewing my own clothes to go to these cool parties. Because even when I haven't had money, I've always been against fast fashion.
Yeah.
I've always felt the behind the scenes of what fast fashion is and how damaging it is to the people making it, even when I had no money.
Briefly tell the audience about fast fashion, the concept of fast fashion, because it's become a thing now.
Yes, it's a huge part of our culture.
Yes.
Forever 21, Zara, H&M, all these companies that create clothes that are, $5, $10 clothes that you wear a couple times and throw away. The damage and an impact to our environment is only the beginning of the horror that this whole industry is. Women and men who are making these clothes are living and working in atrocious situations.
Yes.
Factories collapsing on their heads. There's so much going on behind the scenes that I've actually personally had the blessing of being able to witness this and go see some of these places and further understand why I don't need a deal at the cost of a human life. It's really, really important to me. And I'll just wait and buy something when I can afford it that was made by people who were paid fairly.
Yes.
So
yes.
people
We're all
don't
in this
know.
together.
We are.
We're
we
all
are.
in this together.
Yes.
Yes.
So people, will say to me, "Oh my gosh, your clothes are so expensive," and I'm like, they really aren't. For the value that you're getting. This dress you're wearing, you would be able to wear for at least 10 to 15 years, and it will still look the same quality-wise. It was made by people who were paid well, who were happy, who were living fulfilled lives, and that all energetically goes into how well they make your dress.
Absolutely. And I've actually worn one of your dresses on almost every single episode of our podcast since we started.
Oh,
so
cool.
Thank you for that.
I'm so happy about that. That's
love
awesome.
It. Yeah.
I love the local supporting local. I mean, that's been a huge, if I would skip past, so I guess I should go back to LA, where I then ended up, I thought I needed a California boyfriend. And I was on the lookout, I wanted one with spiky hair and cool cars. So ridiculous. But that was what I thought.
Age.
I was 23.
That's where you were, 23 years old. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's what I needed.
Yeah.
So I got one, and oh boy.
So what happened then?
The package that I was presented was so beautiful for about 6 months, and then there started to be these red flags and signs. But I was also I grew up in Wyoming, and just you can trust what people say they are. It's just a very transparent place to live, and I had no idea about con artists or abusive men. Like I came from a very good, stable family, and little by little he started doing some strange things. And next thing I knew, he had taken away like my financial freedom. And then he started like just telling me, "Oh, you don't know anything. You're from Wyoming. Like this is like the sophisticated city. You need to just listen to me."
He started using your charge cards, right?
Well, even worse than that, he started managing my finances. And he made a lot of money, but he was funneling all of his money through my accounts, so it looked like I made a lot of money. And then this was before 2008, when you could really get huge credit limits. And then he was applying for bigger and bigger credit limits. So pretty soon I had major credit card debt. And then, but he would pay it off every month. But there would be like a 3-day window where I didn't have this debt that I was like, if he goes away, I'm in real trouble, And there was just, as a 23-year-old girl, you're not equipped to, I wasn't, some girls may, but I was not equipped to understand how I could possibly survive when I had entered the relationship with perfect credit, and I had already flipped a condo. I had, over $100,000 in the bank, and suddenly he'd gone through all that money.
And it's so important for all women, young women, any woman of any age, to know that her finances are her responsibility. To try to give that to someone else is like giving your power away. But so many of us were trained to think, oh, this man will take care of me, or this older, more mature, better business person, or someone that has a different, has a profile that you've been trained to believe is going to help.
Right.
And when you abdicate that responsibility, you're really abdicating responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
So we have to handle our money ourselves.
Yes. Really, it's so true, and it was such a hard lesson to learn. I'm lucky I learned it young, because it has really served me moving forward as a business owner and woman, and just not being afraid to use my voice when someone says something to me that in my gut just doesn't feel right. It's like, no, that's not true. That's incorrect.
Yes. That does not feel right.
That does not feel right, and I'm not.
That doesn't sound like the truth.
When someone's trying to push harder, one of the main tricks of a con artist is they'll make something really big happen right before a major holiday. This is a good telltale. If someone's pushing you like right before Thanksgiving or Christmas, and we got to sign this, everyone's going away. The second someone starts pushing like that, I'm like, ooh, you just gave me a red flag. I need to dig deeper, and nothing's going to change over a 5-day holiday or whatever it is.
Right. Or that extreme circumstance where if you don't do this now, we're going to lose the house, or we're going to lose something huge, and you've got to bail me out of this situation.
Yeah. Just like kind of noticing those flags. So, so I ended up, he progressively went from the financial abuse to the verbal abuse, finally into the physical abuse, and it was just this escalation. I finally was like, I don't care if I leave with all this credit card debt. I would rather live in a cardboard box than deal with this. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And so I did.
I'm so glad you have that clarity, though, because sometimes it's so depressing for so long. You're like, why am I here?
I did
it's
struggle.
Hopeless. I can't fix this.
Yes, I did struggle with depression for sure at that time, and really feeling like, how did I let myself get here?
The shame of thinking,
I
did this to myself.
This is so shameful and embarrassing. I couldn't tell my parents. I was ashamed to tell them, and it's just this big guilt and shame and fear are like 3 emotions I've learned just really don't have a place in our lives. All they do is hold us back.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so I ended
So
up.
how did you get out?
Well, I did call my dad and I said, I need your help. And he was on the flight the next morning from Wyoming and helped me pack up my U-Haul. And they wanted me to go back, but I was really determined to keep my career moving forward. And I got my own place and just kept moving forward. And so I say, like, people ask me what my business model was, and I would sew and sell one dress at a time. So I would go out and like go from store to store all over Santa Monica, Los Angeles, and Malibu, and I would get orders on my like 6 pieces that I had created, and then I would go home and sew them, and then I would go deliver, and and I really got some good accounts and some good traction.
And lots of experience because you were doing it all yourself.
All sewing,
Yeah.
selling, cutting, everything.
Yeah.
So, but then it was a lot to manage, and I was still paying off this huge mountain of credit card debt.
Yes.
And I was just so tired. I told my cousin, like, I'm done with this, and she said, no, Abby, you're not done. Just come to Dallas, and I'll give you some advice, and we'll figure out a new track to help you kind of get over this hump. And so I came to Dallas and just fell in love with the entrepreneurial energy of Dallas. It's such a great, supportive place, and in the meantime, my sister, who didn't know I was in an abusive relationship, had identified this group of women in Nepal that had women rescued out of sex trafficking, making their buttons and their, and it was one of those things that, this is the huge thing I've learned about women. Find ourselves in a struggle and we want to overcome. The first thing we want to do is help someone that's had a rougher time than we have.
Yes.
And so that gave me this bigger purpose, like, oh wow, I wasn't sold into sex trafficking. This is like such a no big deal, what I've dealt with. So I really poured myself into figuring out how to help them, and they were making bracelets. I had them change the shape into a button that I put on every single dress that I sold, and that way we were selling and something of theirs and mine every time. And just I moved into my cousin's house.
That is so much vision. I mean, one of the things we talk about here over and over again is the vision that people have. That was a very visionary place to go and a path for you to find for everybody, for all of us, all of us that are starting businesses and running businesses, especially for women, because we, it's true that when you have a country that's trying to lift itself out of poverty, the best investment you can make is the women.
Yeah.
Invest in them, they'll take care of everybody else.
Yes.
Just give them small business loans, and if it works in a third world country, it sure is going to work in Dallas.
Right, it's totally true. Yeah, so so that, moving forward with my cousin letting me stay in her home, I didn't have to pay rent anymore, just helped me step by step. And then a couple years into my time in Dallas, I won Texas Next Top Designer, which won me a rent-free loft at Southside on the Mar. Jack Matthews has been an amazing landlord and partner. And then, step by step, I just, I kept going. I call it persistence beyond what seems reasonable.
Yes.
So.
And thank you for doing that and being a model for everybody that's trying to find their way in their business. Beautiful.
It's funny because I remember like this one point where, I always would have this like goal, like if I get to here, it's all going to be so much easier. Yeah. And it's not. No. I just, I remember the day when I realized you can't keep thinking it's going to get easier. Yeah. You've chosen an entrepreneurial path. There's always going to be obstacles. You have to just like guard yourself up that this is just going to be a challenging life. Yeah. This is what you've chosen. You want it. You love the freedom. There's so many great things, but if I could just settle into that, I'm comfortable.
But it's so much like yoga, though. You reach a position in yoga, and you think, I can't stretch any further, and you just hold it and breathe, and you find more space.
That is such a great
analogy.
As soon
as you reach one place of, okay, I've got this, you're just going to stretch to the next place and the next place. And it turns out that's the best way to take care of our brain as we age as well, too, is just constantly push ourselves into our comfort zone until we're uncomfortable and we stretch again. Yeah, so then what happened?
So, the NFL Wives got on board with my brand, and when the Super Bowl was launched here in Dallas, Pat Smith, Brenda Warner, and Sharice Brown were kind of 3 spearheads that all had identified my brand separately, funny enough. And they all came together and said, we're going to launch Abby's line during the Super Bowl. And at the same time, I had been introduced to the Nordstrom buyers and said, hey, have you guys thought of an NFL strategy during the Super Bowl in Dallas? And so it was a perfect launch. And that helped me get out of that debt, paid it all off.
I want to give you a high five.
Yeah. It was awesome. I was like, thank you, ladies. They were just awesome. Like, they were like, we want to show everyone what's cool about Dallas. And, you know, they usually feature a big luxury brand. And they were like, no, we're featuring you this year. And it was a huge
kind of your
gift.
Tipping point financially for your company?
Yes, it was definitely, because that rolled me into all the Nordstroms and, you know, really just gave me a new platform. I mean, there was a whole new level of learning curve I had to learn.
Right.
But the financial freedom was huge to be unsaddled from that debt. And then I also, you know, as time progressed, was able to start working on my own personal healing, you know, so that I could then start talking about my story and give other people some inspiration and, you know, that freedom that, you know what, your story doesn't define you. It's just a piece of your story. It's just a piece of what's happened to you, but it doesn't have to define you.
Yeah.
So.
And the Abby Farron brand, I posted this morning to tell people you were coming on, and it's a brand that just empowers women. It makes you comfortable in your body, and you can't say that about very many clothing lines. And I was a model, as you know, for many, many years, and there weren't, offhand, I can't think of a single line that I would say, oh, this line, this designer makes me feel proud of my body, regardless of my opinions about my body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So, and that's a huge thing for me.
Yes.
I mean, that is like, I really focus on the fit process. I spend a lot of money in R&D, designing and tweaking and having a bunch of people test the styles and make sure that, okay, this felt good on you, does it feel good on you? Yeah. Looking and, you know, getting feedback from different age groups, and I really want, you know, this brand for me is about empowering women. So from the women who make the clothes to the women who wear them, that's really our underlying vision.
That is beautiful. Thank you. And if you haven't tried Abby's clothes, you have to go try them on. We were laughing earlier about, we were going to show you some clothes, which we'll do next time we have Abby on, but you have to see these clothes on. You have to put them on your body and see how they hug your body. And all of the models are real women, and they're all absolutely beautiful. So is clothes that love your body. And I really appreciate the fact that it's a whole process, that you have included everybody in this whole journey of the collection that you produce. I just can't say enough good things about you.
Thank you.
And the energetic presence of your brand. When people go online, I hope you do go online and look up Abby and look at her story online and the other models that she's dressed. There's an energetic presence to Abby Farron's line that is so inspiring. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, a lot of thinking and transformation has gone into the creation of it. And I'm just so proud that I got you on the show so you could tell your story.
Thank you.
I want you to come back later this week, and we will show people clothes on models and talk some more and hear more about your foundation and the other women that you're helping.
And our Purpose Project.
And our Purpose Project,
which is the, like you were talking about, all the different models that we have from age 16 to, I think our oldest one right now is 70. We have a wide range of ages, sizes, race. We're just really trying to like show people that these clothes are made for you. That's my tagline, made for you, not the hanger.
Yes.
And then just really making sure that, you know, we're wanting to educate the consumer. The American woman spends $3 billion a year more than any other consumer group in the world.
Wow.
But we do not do it consciously.
Yes.
So if we did it consciously, we could really change this
the world,
whole planet.
Everything.
So, I mean, and I'm even
from the
aware,
growing of all of the cotton and the wools and the everything, and the way we feed the animals and the way we take care of the animals and take care of the people that are taking care of the animals and
it's like a whole chain.
Whole
how
chain.
We take care of ourselves, how we feed our children.
Yes.
You know, there's so many layers to it, but it's been really neat because we really have, you know, I got tired of hearing people say, oh, I love your clothes, but I could never wear them. And I'm like, have you tried them on? You even said that. You're like, I didn't think that dress would be cute.
Yes.
And then you put it on and it was like, whoa.
Yes,
So
because it hugged my body so tight. And having grown up in the fashion industry as a model, I wasn't supposed to show my body unless I weighed, you know, 100 pounds. And now it's like I have this body. It's a different body than it was when I was modeling. And I love it just like it is, and being able to put clothes on it and go, yeah, this looks hot on me. I love this.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, and thank you for that.
And we have a store in West Village.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to pop in there, we have great girls that will help you, see what works best for you. And then we have our website online. And this week, coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we have a sample sale down at Southside on Lamar in the artist quarters.
Okay,
so
well, we'll post that on the Facebook page too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So those are some fun things that people can jump on, and it costs nothing to try something on. So.
Yes, and you have to try it on.
You do.
You have to try it on. And have the girls help you too, because they know how to put the clothes together and all kinds of. Abby's clothes do so many different things. So having someone kind of guide you through that process of fitting yourself is really a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We'll see you a little bit later. Okay. Come back and look at the clothes and show the audience the clothes. Thank you for being here. If you have a groundbreaking story that you feel needs to be told, let us help you tell it. We'd love to do that. Look forward to seeing you next week.